You're listening to the Powell Movement.
Welcome to the Powell Movement. I'm your host, Mike Powell, and this week is a totally different show based around the biggest and baddest event in all of action sports, the Red Bull Rampage. So no long format interviews this week, but I talked to half the field at the Rampage and some amazing industry insiders. Before I get into the podcast, I want to ask you to follow me on Instagram at the Powell Movement and tell your friends about the show. I also need to thank my sponsors for making this happen. They are Evo, Rescue Water, the 10 Barrel Brewery, Spy Optic, and Outdoor Research. Please use the codes in the ads for discounts on things that you're already going to buy. And now, it's time to tell the story of the Red Bull Rampage. This story starts where I am right now, in my RV heading north on my way to Seattle. It's a quick turnaround on the podcast, so I have to thank my good friend Mike Goot for doing the bulk of the driving and being my producer for this event. I wasn't even planning on going to the Red Bull event, and Goot called me up and was like, dude, you have to get us to Rampage. He thought since I have a podcast, I might be able to get our way in there. So I emailed a few people and sent a few more emails, and sure as shit, we had credentials for the event. Shit was getting real, and we were going to Rampage, the baddest fucking event in the land. Were we going to fly to Rampage? Fuck no. We were going to keep it real and RV it. And it just so happens that I have a 28-foot RV that my mom gave my brother and I last year. This was going to be my last chance to ever use this RV, as my brother is planning on moving into it on November 1st. So we have the RV for a few more days, and we're going to use it to head down to Virgin, Utah. So I went into the event with a loose plan of interviewing a few people that I had been emailing with, but really they weren't emailing me back. So I had to make the decision of whether I make the trip or not, because if I head all the way down to Virgin, Utah with no interviews lined up and I get nothing while I'm down there, well, that would really suck. Could I pull the plug on this trip? I don't think so. My friend Goot, he would kill me. This is something he's always wanted to do, and this is Rampage. I wanted to do it as well. So I packed up all my podcast gear, got it in the RV, and planned on using the RV as our mobile sound studio with all the amenities. We get on the road on Wednesday morning at 5 a.m., and we are heading to Virgin, Utah for the event on Friday. That is, until 4 hours later, we hear a gunshot sound within the RV. Goot looks at me and goes, dude, I think we lost the rear quarter panel of your RV. And that scared me. But what really happened was we blew a piece of tire into the wheel, and that blew a hole into the RV, right where all the electrical and shore power wires were stored. All the wires fell out, and they got sucked up into the spinning wheel and ripped all of our wiring out in the RV. We get the thing pulled over, we start hacking away at the wire, and got it to a point where we thought we wouldn't cause any more damage if we drove the RV. At this point, I'm about to get back in the RV, and I notice some fluid dripping out of one of the pipes. So what do? I touch it and smell it, and realize it must be the remnants of poop. Awesome! The good news here is that all of this happened within a mile of a Les Schwab tire shop, so the whole thing only took a few hours and we were back on the road. The bad news is I had shit on my hands, and all my podcast gear needs power to interview people down in Utah. The RV wasn't going to have any power, and now my brother might not have a home come November 1st. After driving 18 hours, we rolled into Virgin at 10:15 and headed straight into the venue. In true Red Bull style, when you arrive at Rampage, to get to the venue, you get loaded into a safari truck and you get driven 10 minutes on some crazy-ass roads. And if you get the right driver, it can be an absolutely insane experience and a perfect way to enter an event like this. It sort of sets the tone. Once we get to the site, the first thing we do is billy goat up the venue. And even that's intense. The natural terrain is big, steep, rocky, and ridiculous. And then you look at the features and realize that anything you've ever been around in your entire life does not compare to this. When we get back down to the base area, after watching teams finish their builds and riders test their features, is when I first realized that this isn't the snow industry. I don't know everyone, and it's a long shot to get anyone back to the RV. In a setting like this, if I were to ask an athlete to come back to my RV, they would think I was pretty creepy. So that's not going to happen. The only way to get interviews at Rampage is going to be by using my iPhone. I won't have any notes to work from, and I'll be stalking grown men. It's 2018, so I'm game. The stalking begins with someone I already know, Cam McCall. We had podcasted a while back, and I don't think he liked everything I had to say around Rampage and Risk, so we talk about it again. This venue that we're at is a brand new venue. When you look up, it is pretty gnarly. And Cam, tell me what the venue looks like to you.
Well, I want to turn that around on you because I remember there was a moment when we were talking and we'd never met face to face. It's always funny being on a phone with somebody, but you said something that totally rubbed me the wrong way, and it's nothing against you. I just understand that it's the general consensus from people who have never been here and don't have friends and family who compete is you brought up the big D word, you know? And you said, it's just a fact. That's going to happen. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's what you said.
It's similar to that.
And yeah, got my blood boiling, and I had to chill myself out and try to answer diplomatically. But I hope now when you're here and you see how real it is, it feels more real. The first time I was here was 2003, so I've been here a lot of times, and I've ridden it and have friends and family riding it. But when you're right here and you watch the people in front of you, it looks bigger, and then the consequence feels more real, right? And so you want to just not even talk about that. But I think you asked me about risk versus reward. Is that what you asked me about?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and of course, financial gains come into play, like prize purse, people talk about it. But I think everybody out there has such a deep love for the sport. Unless you've ridden the event, you can't relate to that sense of accomplishment of 2 weeks of digging and more than that of stressing. And then when the whole thing comes together, like you are so living when you risk everything and it all works out. If you've never experienced that, it's hard to explain to somebody. And that's why there's always the question of, based on those consequences, why do people do it? And hopefully when you're watching people in the finish corral and you see that jubilation, that sense of euphoria because their goal is accomplished, that person right there is ultimately living their best life. And so that's why they do it.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this course, and I come from the ski industry, and I used to think skiing was pretty gnarly, and I thought that until this morning when I rolled up to this venue and I started climbing up the hill and realizing the features are so much bigger than what you see on the internet, and the risk and consequences are so much more than I even thought when I asked you that question last year. So it's crazy, but the event has changed over the years, and now we're taking it back to the big mountain roots. I feel like there's no slope style type jumps built on the course. Everybody's manicuring things themselves, and you've had a chance to watch people build lines, and I don't want to ask you who your top 3 is going to be because you have a brother involved in this. So I want to know your top 4 is. I want your brother to win, and then give me your top 3 after that.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is, and I was the same way when I was competing also, because the main reason why everybody does it is to accomplish their goals. I know a lot of people really want to win because there's a lot of fame, glory, and prize money up for grabs. But personally, the reason why I would never judge is because I honestly don't care who wins, gets second, gets third, gets fourth. I want everybody to feel fantastic at the end of the day and ultimately be safe and healthy at the end of the day and put down the best bike riding they've ever done in their life. And you can kind of live vicariously through that, and that's why we get such a great audience through the internet, is because everybody can kind of relate to bike riding. Everybody has a bike in their garage. That's a rite of passage. Everybody learns how to ride a two-wheeler. And when every October you can tune in and watch the best display of two-wheel handling this world has ever seen, that's why this event is so special. So as long as everybody's healthy and as many riders as possible accomplish their goals, I'm going to be happy.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to try to squeeze one more in. We've got the helicopter above us one more time, but you're on the TV broadcast. You always do an amazing job on it. But how do you paint the picture of how big these features are to the watcher?
It's really hard because everybody wants numbers. Everybody wants, okay, well, how big is that? And they want something in feet or meters. And once things get into the 30-foot vertical range, it's so big that it doesn't really matter if it's 36, 37, 32. People measure diagonally, and you get this number that's not representative of the horizontal or the vertical. So those numbers are a little bit misleading, but some of these features are measuring 58, 60 feet diagonal, and that means these things are in that 30-foot vertical range, and judging speed for something like that is so incredibly difficult. But in the history of Rampage, this venue has the biggest hits, and it's taller than any venue we've ever seen. So there's a lot of question marks going into tomorrow's final because there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been hit yet. So we're in for a treat, man.
After Cam, I'm starting to think this shit is easy. I'll go talk to someone else I know. And Derek Westerlund is a huge part of the history and documentation of this event. So you've been involved with the event since almost the beginning?
Yeah, since the very beginning. I think I got the call in 2000 from Paul Crandall and Todd Barber, and they were bringing Josh Bender out here, and they were like, we want to put on this extreme mountain biking event, and they really didn't have a lot of connections into the mountain bike industry, so we all met up in Vegas, these two guys that were both 6'5" or 6", and Bender and I were smaller guys, and we jammed it out, and I introduced them to like basically all the athletes in the industry. And then, the rest is history. The event took shape. We had the first event in '01, and it went for 4 consecutive years and then took a hiatus, came back in 2008, and we've been on basically a 10-year run since then.
And when you look at the course from year one, it was kind of more like it is today, where there's not any wooden features built. It is purely the riders and digging crews creating their lines. And does this take it back to the original days?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot more humble back then. It was a much more course scene. It's a lot more commercialized now, so the event just feels bigger and crazier. But I think the core, the soul of this thing has always been intact. And yeah, there was a few years where, slopestyle was really what was driving free riding. And so I think it integrated more with, the wood ramps. And that was like when we brought it back, it was like this new face of Rampage. And I think the riders always wanted it to be big and big mountain and raw. So eventually it's migrated back to that. And this year is deadly, it's a sick course. I was a very big critic of this when we got out here, because we looked at this event site for 2008 and we shut it down. It just felt like it was too rocky and too gnarly and didn't have, the pinnacle start. But as this place started to take shape and get built out, it's rowdy. It feels like AK Alaska style, it's like big, and it feels that way. It just feels ominous and big.
Yeah, it is a huge venue. The features are huge. And when I think about the whole concept of the Rampage, you brought up Josh Bender. And if you have a screw loose, he has like 8 loose. And in terms of his vision as an athlete back then, and I look at him as an athlete like a Seth Enslow, where maybe a little too loose. The slams that he put together were something that we'll never see again. But is this course taking it back to his vision of big mountain riding?
Yeah, and I mean, Bender, I worked with him, really heavily back in those days. In the mountain bike industry, he was sort of public enemy number one for a while, but people didn't know what he was doing, and his image was what they wanted to support, because he's crazy, he's snapping bikes, he's hitting these big airs, he's doing stunts in front of hundreds of people, and the shock value was high, and he wasn't landing a lot, so he came under pretty harsh criticism from the actual, really good riders. But his heart and what he believed was possible on a bike is happening now, literally. And that was,
20
years ago, So hats off to him. He kicked the doors wide open. Speaking of Seth Enslow, I was driving here today with Cam McCall, and we were working on this Nothing's for Free movie, the 30-year history of free riding. And we started talking about how back in the day, we just wanted acceptance from like BMXers and motocrossers. And then we were in Kamloops filming one time with Bender, Robbie Borden, Joe Schwartz, and the Krusty Boys showed up, and they were so hyped, and Seth was there, and John Freeman, Dana Nicholson, the guys that I grew up on, they're all hanging out in Kamloops at our buddy Guy Perret's house, who's like a crazy motocross dude from Kamloops. So we all got together over there and, partied and hung out, and like, those two guys standing next to each other, Seth and Bender, was like a cool moment because those dudes had respect, because those guys were visionary and what crazy was, And so Bender may not have got respect from the bike industry, but who cares? He got respect from action sports and the guys who were like really on the map at that time.
Yeah, and the risk that he was taking and working with you guys with the vision of this event, there's a lot of respect nowadays in the vision that he had 20 years ago with what he was doing, because no one else was doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, he's his own character. He will always be who he is, and he is the heart and soul of this, truly. Todd Barber and him, Todd especially, has worked super, super hard to always really look out for the riders, to always listen to them, to try to continue to build better courses, let them have more resources and interpretations of what can be done, and that's how progression happens.
Yeah, it sounds like Bender is the heart, Todd is the brains, and you are the one that shows it to everybody.
Well, can't forget Red Bull. I mean, obviously, I don't even know if freeride mountain biking would exist without Red Bull, to be honest. Like, them allowing this event to blossom and become what it is, and it's truly unique. It's become a flagship event for them globally, and there's nothing like it in the world, and everybody that sees it talks about it. I've listened to Jason Ellis, he doesn't even know the name, but he's like, that's the most core event in the world. The sport, the people who are out there are the most core. And then the people that come out to watch it in the middle of nowhere are core. So it really is the epitome of something that maintained its soul. Yeah, it's got bigger, of course, but the crew, the riders, when we're all out here, it's like everybody's working together. We're making it happen because there's a lot of high risk involved with this at a lot of levels. It's a challenge to, we're doing a live event from the middle of nowhere, and millions of people will see this all over. And to just drop this right in the middle of the desert and be able to do something like this, it's insane.
It's just a phenomenal event all around. My last question for you is, who are your top three?
I run the betting pool. I'm probably not supposed to be talking about that. You know what? I can't say right now because I hurt my knee a couple of days ago, and I haven't been able to get up and look at everything and really interpret everybody's lines. But I'm going to go up in the heli in about 10 minutes, and if you ask me before you go home, I'll have my top three.
After Derek, I realized I don't know anybody else. I know about them, I've watched them, and now it's time for me to stand awkwardly next to strangers and ask them for a minute of their time. The awkwardness started with Josh Bender. I wasn't ready to walk up to an absolute legend for my first blind interview. It felt like I was kind of a teenager uncomfortably asking a girl to dance in high school, and he definitely felt it. In the 90s, you were known for going fucking huge. You sent it more than anybody else. Can't say you landed everything, and it made some amazing videos. And it really inspired the Red Bull Rampage. What was your vision for this event?
Pretty much what we're looking at now. I mean, it's definitely a big mountain event, and if you put powder snow on it, it would be a big mountain ski event.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you feel with the change of the events for the first venue? It was pretty much natural features that people were taking on. That changed over the years with the event. What did that do in your mind?
It was a perfect change because over the years, over all 14 of the rampages that we've held, each chapter would be a little bit different. The first 4 years, we went totally natural, don't remove many bushes. The next 4, we brought some wood in and then kind of mixed it up a little and then took the wood away and went back to more of a natural environment. And now this year, it's super natural, and we have a bigger venue. It's the longest venue we've had out of all the rampages, and it's definitely way more, you got to be on your game.
When you've gone to other venues before, year one is usually, I won't say a safe year, but it's a more tentative year, and then year two, people send shit even bigger. What are we going to see here tomorrow?
We're going to see some large man-sized cliffs go down, and the top riders in the world are going to be pushing themselves.
Not feeling so confident after that one, so I might as well go talk to last year's champ, Kurt Sorge. You're a 3-time champion. What do you think of the new venue?
It's a super cool venue. It's way more technical. You got to get creative to actually even find the line down. There's no easy way down. There's not even an easy way up. So it's a lot of steep chutes, big drops, and yeah, it's just gnarly to get down. So everyone's got some cool lines, and yeah, just stoked to get her done.
If you have to pick your top 4, you in first, or the 3 after you?
Well, I just want to go put down the run that I want to do, and if that gets me on the podium, stoked. But yeah, I don't know. There's so many cool runs.
Whose lines are looking good?
Like, Seminuk or Fairclaw, Geordie Lunn. I think everyone's got really good runs. There's not a single run out there that I don't think is a potential winner, so it's cool.
Now I've got the only 3-time champ, and next I get a chance to sit down with one of the coolest, most chill riders I met at the event, Graham Agassi. You are coming off of an injury from what I hear.
Yeah. Crankworx Whistler, that's I guess like 7 weeks ago now, I broke my shoulder blade. So that was a big one. I got the green light on the 12th to start doing push-ups and ride my bike again.
How are you feeling?
We're at like a solid 80-85% right now, but I'm feeling good. I got a nice, fun line and I'm stoked on right now, and yeah, I've been going in with a different mindset than normal, and this is the first time I've come here and had fun.
You've qualified in first 3 times in a row at one point, and the way that you kind of raise the level here at Rampage, I think everybody gets fired up off of your juices that you kind of bring to the table. This year's a totally different year because you're coming off the injury. Does your line selection and everything play into that?
Yeah, 100%. Like day one, I went and found what I thought was a winning line. I still think it's a winning line, but I had to remind myself to relax and chill and, my body's just not 100% ready for those big impacts. So I just switched my game plan up a little bit, but I'm stoked with what we have and looking forward to get it done on Friday.
Well, you're used to tournaments. You're from the tournament capital of the world, Kamloops.
Done your research.
Yeah, and when you come from Kamloops, I mean, that's like a mountain biking mecca, an action sports mecca for that fact. And there it's all about, I would think, finding your zones and kind of keeping them to yourself so no one else is exploiting them. Similar to this, I would think, in that you want to find lines and maybe not share as much in the beginning. But how does that work as an athlete?
It's hard for sure. Like the first year on a new site's tough, especially with this one. It's like 150 yards taller than previous sites, and there's probably twice as many cliff bands as there are here than there is on the other side at the old two sites over there. So there's a lot of work to do, so you have to team up, which is fine by me. I mean, yeah, in previous years, like you want to have your own line and keep things to yourself, but I mean, with the new kind of concept I've gained into this, I'm just trying to have fun and make sure everyone else is having a good time as well. So I teamed up on every single thing just about on the way down, and I have 2 things that are on my own, but other than that, we're teamed up with like 4 or 5, 6 different teams all the way down.
Cool. And then I hear you're a big fan of Wolf Hair. You got a Dakine signature series coming out with Wolf Hair on it. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we did a Dakine and Smith collab, so on the goggle as well, and on the jersey we have the wolf fur with some acid wash on there, and it turned out really sick, and I'm really stoked on how it's looking, and I think everyone else is too, so yeah.
And then I want to get your predictions for tomorrow. You can give me the top 4. You can put yourself at number 1, even though you said you're not in it to win it, and then give me your 2 through 4.
It's so hard. There's a lot of really sick lines out there. Carson's looking really good. Brandon's looking really good. Tom's looking really good. Fairclaw and Jordy both have something on their own over there, so that'll score really well. And yeah, everyone's looking really good. It's hard to say, but I think those guys are going to be ones to look out for sure.
That is going to take us to a sponsor break. And my first sponsor is Evo, and there is some exciting news going on the Evo front. They are coming to Canada. Yes, they will be in Whistler, Blackcomb. They're opening 5 retail locations. Exciting news for the brand, and it's going to be great for Whistler as well. When you shop online at Evo or in store, you can give them this code, capital TPM, the number 10, all one word, and you can use it at checkout or tell your cashier, and they will give you 10% off your entire order. My next sponsor is Rescue Water, and they are all about proactive recovery. What does that mean to you? Well, think of it like this. If you're really tired, you skip the coffee and you grab yourself an energy drink. Well, if you really need to hydrate, like when you're done working out, getting off the mountain, or going to bed after a big night, skip the sports drink and drink a cold Rescue Water. It replaces electrolytes much better than your traditional sports drink, and it's a difference you can really feel. Make Rescue Water work for you by heading over to rescuewater.com, that's RESQ water.com, and save 20% on a 12-pack case by entering the code RESQ water TPM, that's all one word. My next sponsor is Outdoor Research, and I've been wearing their outerwear since I moved to Seattle in 2000 because it works better than anything else on the market. It's developed and tested in the Northwest, so you know it's gear you can trust. OR is committed to improving your experience with exceptional product so you don't have to think about your gear while you're out on your journey. But don't just take my word for it. In this year's Powder Magazine Apparel Guide, there was one brand voted Apparel of the Year. It was Outdoor Research. So when you're shopping for outerwear this winter, get the best. Head on over to outdoorresearch.com and get 15% off your order with the checkout code Powell, the number 15, all one word, all in caps. Those are my sponsors, so now we'll get back into it. So it's been a pretty productive day so far. And on the way out of the venue, I run into Brett Reeder. What do you think of the new venue?
I like it. I think it's a really big zone, so we aren't all crammed in to zones like we have in the past. And it's a bit bigger of a mountain, a little more unique, I think, in my opinion, than years past. Overall, I think it's probably the best zone that we've had.
Over your career, you've excelled at slopestyle. And then when we look at this course, it's more of a big mountain course. The other Rampage course has had some slopestyle elements to it. And hearing you say that this is the best course we've ever had, how does that play for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to do well in slopestyle. I would say that I spend 3/4 of the year on my slopestyle bike, but I try to be the most well-rounded rider possible, and that means showing up to the desert and being just as good on my big bike as all the other athletes. So I think that this year is the best, probably for me, because I'm pushing myself a little more than I have. My drops are all bigger. Everything is basically just upscaled, and yeah, I'm feeling comfy on the downhill bike this year.
Awesome. Well, I've been asking everybody this. If you could pick your top 4 with you in first, who would the next 3 be?
Oh, God, I don't know. Maybe Fairclaw, Ethan Nell, and T-Mac, maybe?
So that was day 1. It was time to get out of Rampage, so we loaded in our safari trucks. We took that crazy bumpy road down, and we go through a cow shit covered parking lot to find that our RV battery is dead. I guess we left the lights on. Fuck. We figure that out, head to the RV campground, and I turn on some camping lanterns because we have no power. Then I go to the public kitchen to use the microwave for my chunky soup because we have no power, and I do a little work. Next up is tomorrow and Rampage. We get to the venue at 8:30, and I'm not going to interrupt the riders while they're getting ready for the event, so it's time for me to get creative. The first person I run into is longtime action sports photographer guy, Christian Pondella. You've been part of the Red Bull Rampage since the thing started, right?
Since it started, yeah. 2001.
And out of all the events that you've shot as a photographer, is this the event that sticks out in your mind as the gnarliest?
Yeah, this is by far the coolest event I've ever shot. It's just amazing what has happened over the years and the progression of the sport and seeing what these guys are doing. It's pretty mind-blowing, to say the least.
And we've seen the course change over the years. At first, it was just all riders finding lines. There wasn't as much digging as there is today. There's no wood features today, but we saw that a few years. And what do you think on how the course has evolved? Because it's kind of back to big mountain riding again.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved back to big mountain, which it's always been. But, you know, like you said, in years past, they had wood features, which were super cool because it kind of funneled everybody to certain zones where you'd have a lot of riders hitting a canyon gap or something, which is super exciting for spectators and all of us photographers to be able to see all that up and close. And for this one, it is literally a big mountain. Things are a bit more spread out. It's more ridgy. So it's a challenge as for myself to see what's going on and when it's happening during the practice sessions. So you're kind of running all over the place and kind of chasing your tail, trying to catch these guys flying through the air.
Looking at the course here compared to other years, there's no area for these guys to slow down, really. It's one big flowy line, and there's no break in the action. And does that make it harder for you to do your job when it's just start to finish?
Yeah, you know, you kind of have to see what these guys are doing, and you kind of need to pick one feature that you know they're going to hit, that you think is going to be the most photogenic, and just go for that. It's going to be hard to get a lot. I think you got to just focus more on the 1 or 2 quality shots instead of trying to get a whole bunch of quantity shots, you know?
Okay, and what is your top 3 for this one?
Oh, wow, top 3? That's a good question. You know, Sorgi, Semenek, and I put Lakanagi in there as well.
So you are predicting Sorgi wins his 4th Red Bull Rampage. It will be amazing, and that is Christian Pondella on the record saying it. Pondella was shooting a feature that Brendan Fairclaw and his digger were putting the final touches on. While Brendog didn't have time to talk to me, his digger Ollie did. Ollie, I'm guessing you're from England?
I am from the UK, yes, just south of London.
Okay, and you are here at the Red Bull Rampage as a digger?
I am, yeah. This is my 5th year at Rampage as a digger, digging for Brendan every year.
In your role as a digger, because it's probably the most important thing here, I mean, obviously the rider's talent and ability, but you have to create the features. Are you working with them? Are they telling you what to do, or is it a collaborative effort?
To be honest, it's a bit of a unique one for me because it's like my best buddy that we dig with and ride with at home, so it's really collaborative. Obviously, he has the final say because he actually has to throw himself off it, but it's a team effort for sure.
And the way it looks like you guys are building, I mean, you have that huge rock feature, you got that vertical face, and everything looks a little bit raw. I look at some other people's lines, and it's really, really manicured. Is that just how Brendan likes it?
Yeah, I mean, Dog's not a slope-style rider, he's a downhill rider. He's not afraid of getting a bit loose in that respect, not in the tricks department, but in the super raw, steep faces, you know, he's in good control. So, yeah, I guess everyone plays to their strengths.
And then, being from England, you're familiar with the hardline event. That's a big one over there. How does this compare technically to an event like that?
Bren's always said a hardline's pretty chill compared to this. He rides both of them, and this is the real deal.
All right, man. So if you have to pick a top 3 tomorrow, we're going to put Brendan first, but give me your second and third.
I'm an old schooler. I want to see Andreu do good. I want to see Zink do good. I want to see Ethan do good. Ethan kills it. Dude, they're all my friends. I want to see all of them do good. I don't know.
Then I run into someone that I've known forever, Michelle Parker, a skier who's out of her element. Parker, you're a skier, and you ski some pretty gnarly terrain. But when you come to an event like this and look up at the mountain, what are you thinking?
I think the lines these guys are doing are like borderline unfathomable. It's impressive to see the way that they read the mountain, and then the building crew, like the whole aspect of being at Rampage and building your own line is pretty mind-boggling as well. Like the building process is a talent in its own. And these guys are, they've been doing it for a long time, so the progression is here. And this venue in particular is bigger than all the years prior. It's a really impressive show.
This event kind of transcends sport. There's nothing in skiing, snowboarding, anything like this event. Can you feel the energy when you come to something like this?
Absolutely. Just the camaraderie amongst the athletes is very visible and noticeable. And the crowd, everyone's involvement. It's very in your face, the best of the sport happening here. This is the biggest event showcasing their highest level in the sport, and so naturally that comes with some kind of pressure to perform. But I'm sure it's they're psyched to be here. It seems like they're psyched to be here, and it's an amazing camaraderie that you experience. So I think it's overall a really good experience, but also some of them don't take their second runs.
Which is crazy, right? Yeah, I was surprised to see that too, but then you look at the course and you understand. So I think you're getting out of here, so go.
Yeah, thank you, pal.
After Parker, things keep getting easier for me. I run into Runke, another person I know who manages Parker, Carson Storch, and many others. So I've been talking to a lot of people, getting a lot of predictions, and a lot of people are saying one of your athletes, Carson Storch, has a line that could win this thing. You've been talking to Carson. I'm sure he just went down. You checked on him. How are things going in Carson's camp?
Carson's good, man. He's fine. He's dialed. He's been out here for a couple of weeks, and his head's super clear and good. He's having fun, and so, he'll get back up there, shake off the cobwebs, and, no worries whatsoever.
And for him, when he comes to an event like this, how long does it take to actually figure out where the line's going to be? Because it's a wide open space where to pick a winning line has got to be a lot of thought.
This is a new zone, so I think that no one had ever seen it. So I don't know that process, man. Okay. I don't even understand how these guys look at any of this stuff and make sense of it.
So you have a snow background. When you look up at a venue like this, what do you think?
I think this is the most ridiculous contest I've ever seen in my life. And I think these guys are so next level, it doesn't really process to most people. And if you ever get a chance to see it in person, it's well worth it.
And right before the event starts, I run into Darren Bearclaw, a perfect person to talk Rampage with an hour before it starts. What do you think of the course today, man?
Freaking awesome. Boys have been killing it out there, building, digging, getting shit done. It's been awesome.
You've been out here for 10 days or so?
I haven't been out here the whole thing, but I was out here for about 5 or 6 of the build days and watching everybody throw some serious goon spooning around, and it's pretty rad.
What have you seen? Whose lines are looking pretty good?
That's a tough thing, there's a lot of really good lines. Some guys are heavy with stuff up top and some guys are heavy with stuff down below, and it's a big mixture. It's really tough to say who's got the winning line, and for me personally, I think there's no real standout winning line this year. That's the crazy part. Each rider has potential to freaking take it if they throw it down.
And if someone put a gun to your head and said pick the top 3, who would it be?
You know what? I haven't even made my mind up yet. Give me half an hour and I'll make my mind up.
All right, but if they had the gun to your head, you would have to.
No, I wouldn't.
All right, you wouldn't. All right, cool. Then it's event time, and if you didn't watch it, you missed the most batshit fucking crazy event I have ever witnessed. A venue so insane that there were multiple crashes and multiple competitors who opted out of a second run. Something I've never seen before, ever. I'd tell you all about the event, but I can't do it justice, so watch it online. So the event's over, and Reeder, who I talked to yesterday, wins his first Rampage, which is a big deal, especially for him. So I followed up with him right after he took the title. We talked yesterday, and I think I offended you almost when I was like, hey, you're more of a slope-style rider than whatever.
For sure.
And then today you win this, which just makes me look like even more of an idiot. I mean, but it changes things for you, I would think. Does it feel like a relief almost?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I can, hold this title now as a Rampage winner is pretty special. It's been a long time coming. This is my 6th year. The first 3 years, I was out of my element, nowhere close to being able to compete with the top guys. The last 3, I felt like I can push myself and get near the top. And then this year we got a new zone and I just kind of went a lot bigger with my builds. And I did the same things as I did in the years past, but like this year my line was bigger and more established and more on the front of the mountain.
Well, congratulations, man. Do what you got to do. I ran into the person that a lot of people were predicting to win this thing, Carson Storch. Wasn't exactly what you planned?
Yeah, it just long day of just kind of battling it, and had some unfortunate issues with the wind this morning and had a couple crashes, hit my head this morning, and turned out being okay, not concussed. And then in my runs we didn't have enough time to finish like the weak link of my line. It was an easy part that wasn't supposed to be an issue. Well, yeah, the first run I didn't hit my berm hard enough, so I didn't get speed. And the second run I got too much speed, went too big on it, and that was just getting back over to my big drop. It's not even an important part, so it's unfortunate, but looking forward to next year, and I want to finish this line, make it more dialed, and get to that big 3 drop again. It's the biggest thing I've ever done, and I can do it for sure. So, I just wish I felt like I had a chance this year, and it's okay. I'm just trying to be positive about it, not dwell on it. It is what it is, and I'm walking away and happy. So, all good.
And final thoughts on the course, because it's a new course. It's bigger than anything you've had at Rampage.
Bigger, taller, more drawn out. There's a lot to it, a lot of options. So I think it's pretty progressive for our sport, and everybody built an insane line, which is pretty insane. Everybody is going for it. So, it's cool. I think it's more progression for our sport.
After that, I was heading over to the podium area, walking by the athlete trucks, and standing by his truck was Aggie, so I caught up with him again.
Barely held it together.
There was a lot of risk for you because you're coming off that injury. Everything feel good?
I'm definitely sore from that overshoot I did. That was the test for my shoulder. That's what I was worried about all week. Just overshooting something and having my shoulder not strong enough to hang on, and that was the test. So, I guess all that digging all week was pretty good physio and got solid again, but I was a little worried. I think I said oh fuck, I just thinking I was gonna explode, but I've been digging a lot, and luckily I've been taking all the right supplements and got a good trainer back home, so
So you're full into it, like diet?
You have to be, man. You can't just roll out fresh off the couch, and we're athletes, and this is something that you need to prepare your body for as well as your mind. So,
Is it more mental or physical though?
It's more mental than physical, for sure. It's more mental than anything by a large margin. Yeah.
And for you, is it hard reeling it back? Because if you're healthy, you're going to send it, and you have to hold back. Is that something hard to do since you're used to pinning it?
Yeah, it was really hard. I've never held back like that ever. I see all my friends sending it and doing the best they can, giving it all, and that's what I want to do, but I know that, I had to make a smart call and listen to my body, which I don't normally do, but I'm glad I did, and I'm coming home healthy and getting ready for hunting season.
I'm going to take a break and talk about my sponsors, and my next sponsor is Spy Optic, and they have been independent since '94 and taking a playful approach to everything they create. They're killing it on the innovation game this season with their new electrochromic one-lens technology. If you haven't heard about the Ace EC goggle, it packs the power of 3 lenses into one by changing tints with the touch of a button. It's crazy innovation that creates one goggle for any light. It's the best goggle on the market, period. Check out SpyOptic.com for all the details on the game-changing EC, as well as their newest athlete signature models and sunglasses. For listening to the show, the good folks at Spy are going to give you 20% off their entire site. When you check out of their site, use the code capital TPM, the number 20, all one word at checkout, and you will get that 20% off. My final sponsor is the 10 Barrel Brewery based out of Bend, Oregon. They are all about drinking beer outside and supporting snow sports and culture. And this year, they are doing something that no beer has ever done before. Not only are they creating a Pray for Snow lager, they've produced their own ski and snowboard film, Pray for Snow, featuring riders like Ben Ferguson, Eric Jackson, and Lucas Walks. They're truly giving back to snow culture, and you should truly give back to them by drinking their beer, preferably a lot of it. To find out more about the movie tour, beers, and pubs, head on over to 10barrel.com. Those are my sponsors. Next up was the craziest looking dude at the event. A bald head covered in tattoos, and from what I saw of those tattoos, There was a hand giving a West Side signal and a gun up there. He happens to be Canadian, which is crazy that he has a gun tattooed on his head because they don't even allow guns in Canada. He also had 2 gold teeth that were similar to fangs and the craziest line that you could see at Rampage, a feature that unfortunately he didn't hit.
So the line you had today, everyone was looking forward to seeing it. I mean, that feature that you had, that wall, did you guys just underestimate the build time of how to complete it, or what happened there? Because it was something everybody was eyeballing, like, that's going to be fucking crazy. And what happened?
Yeah, that drop at the bottom, we definitely ran out of time, like missing Monday for most of the build. And yeah, just being such a big mountain to build down. We needed a couple more days at least to finish that one off. So we tried to reroute as best we could, and it was a scramble. So we just did what we could, and that was it. Yeah.
And if you're next year, are you going to make that your line again? Will you have the time to build it? I mean, that's the feature that is pretty fucking gnarly.
I'm sure we'd have the time to build it. Who knows? Like, I still got to get invited back and then come back here and, you know, reassess and see where I want to go. So, could be anywhere. But it'd be a good feature. Everyone seemed to be fired up on it.
Everybody's pumped up on it,
Yeah.
Next, I head towards the production area, and I run into Adolf Silva and Reed Boggs. A person with the name Adolf usually scares me, and that name doesn't win too many People's Choice Awards. But I heard him speaking Spanish, so I'm cool with Adolf, and the name Reed doesn't scare me at all.
Reed, your line today, you had like that loop feature, that half loop feature. It's a big mountain contest. It's a weird feature to find in a big mountain contest. And what was your thought process on that one?
Yeah, just from my background of riding, I grew up riding BMX and slopestyle, so I just wanted to incorporate that with my big mountain line. It kind of just linked up. We saw a landing there, and the way we came, we could just build a fat oververt lip, and it just worked. And like stuff like that is pretty fun to ride, so just wanted to incorporate that in my line.
Yeah, one of the most creative features out there. And then over to Adolf, you set the tone at this event. It seemed like Aggie does that a lot, and you came out today and really set the tone. Was that the plan?
Yeah, my plan was just find a cool top to bottom line that I like, and I found that. I nailed it, and I'm more than stoked on it. So
yeah, going huge, looking like full moto style. Like you ride that way as well?
Yeah, I do ride a lot of moto, and yeah, I do hate big drops, but you know, it's kind of like the biggest event, and you have to step it up for it, I guess.
After these Rampage virgins, I caught back up with the only rider to compete in every Rampage. He is no virgin, Kyle Straight.
You've been to every one of these events.
Yep.
We are in a new venue, and what were your thoughts on the venue?
I love new venues. No matter what, if it's good or not good or whatever it is, I love new venues because I like coming out here, like to what it was in the first day. So I mean, where it's like super soft dirt. Nobody's ever been here. You like find cool shit. You know, like there's a couple guys that found like deer antlers and shit like that. So it's pretty cool. But I really enjoy it just because your first eyes on it is really shows a lot of your style of riding and what you think can get done in your experience. So I enjoy it. I knew I could get the build done and get the ride done, and had a great time.
And you say that you like new venues, but I think the 2 times you won were at the last year of an old venue, and they switched. So weird in that you like new venues, and I don't even know where I'm going with that.
Well, I like new venues, right? Because of the style, but then I think what I do is, I mean, just with racing or anything like that, I pick it apart and I think about it, you know, like, because you got a year in between, or sometimes we'd have a couple years in between. So what I would do is I'd pick it apart and be like, I could see the judges kind of like this, and then this, and I see who the judges are, and you gotta work at it, right? So, and especially with a judge event, you're judged, and then there's different judges and different opinions, so you got to try and find what's going to work best for you and what they like the most.
Your thoughts on the judging today?
Yeah.
Next up, it's someone just as legendary as Kyle, one of his best friends, Cam Zink.
Bummer you weren't able to go today, and looking at your history, you're a dude that powers through injuries. You just have, and over the past couple of years, you've had shoulder issues. How tough is it to have to watch instead of compete today?
It's kind of just in the cards, I guess. There's just a certain level that your body can take, and it's never been a choice of like if I'm going to ride, it's like I either can or I can't. And I did everything that I could to put myself in the best position and work my heart out in physio and dealing with the problem at hand, and did everything I could. And my body didn't cooperate. So it's not really a decision, it's just, it is what it is.
In 2010, I think he had like a fucked up arm.
Every year. One year I had 17 stitches in my elbow right before. Another year I clipped an artery before. I had an infection in my leg and they wanted to do surgery 2 nights before finals. Another year I popped out my SC joint and I had to ride with my collarbone dislocating. Every year is something. If I can, I will. And today it popped out last night and I couldn't even sleep. It's been in pain all day and I couldn't ride today.
Yeah, you're no pussy. And it looked like from the video, when you took the impact, it popped out, and that could happen at any time, I guess, until you get it where it's tight.
Yeah, it's a structural issue. So it's not like I crashed and it came out. It's like it came out and then I crashed,
Yeah.
So I physically can't ride with it coming out the night before and being swollen. But did everything I could, so can't be too bummed by that. I'm obviously bummed that I wasn't able to ride and compete because I know that the line that I had after watching everyone would have potentially been a winning line. And, I mean, granted, it's a lot easier said than done, but if I would have landed it, I'd go on a limb and say it would have won. But it's a matter of laying it down. So at least I would have put myself in position to win and did everything I could.
Talking about legends, I ran into one who works for Pink Bike, Brett Tippie.
Hi, I'm Brett Tippie, and we're here with the Powell Movement. And how are you? What's going on? Whoa, I'm supposed to ask the questions?
I don't know what you're on.
Dude, it's Red Bull. It's got a little toast. No, I am some Red Bull, yeah. I admit it. It's a free event.
So you competed in this event a long time ago?
Long time ago, yeah. I competed here back in 2002, and I've been a judge before. And I actually competed in Utah at a freeride event, one of the first freeride events ever, before there was Rampage. I got a podium, and Crispy won that. Yeah, it was like 97, I believe.
Okay. And do you always have this much energy? Just like ready to go all the time?
I'm always like this. I'm stuck like this. I got full energy. I don't sleep very much, and I'm just, I got a lot of cool things, a lot of cool friends, and a lot of cool things to do. So I'm just pinned and just trying to go for it and have as much fun as I can in each and every day. You don't have long, right?
Yeah, commas suck, right?
Yeah, man.
Commas
just
suck.
Fuck. There's no next time, there's no free time, there's no spare time, there's only lifetime.
Yeah,
go.
Man. Well, what do you think about today? The new venue, the event. Here, let me hold that for 1 second.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I really like this new venue. Like the steeper, more big mountain slope is awesome, and I'm more into the big mountain, steeps and gnarl than I am actually more the tricks myself, because I'm not a great tricker. My favorite tricks are left and right turns, but I like riding steep, gnarly stuff, and I just am amazed at how good these guys do it. And all the big airs and tricks too, of course, is always amazing, but like just the steep technical riding of how good they really are and what they're doing and how gnarly the moves are when you climb up on them and look down and see how exposed, see how big, see those little side angles that you don't see, feel the wind. There's all these angles that make it even gnarlier than it really is when you look on the camera, and you don't appreciate that until you're up there, and I love it. I love it.
Kyle, Cam, and Tippie are legendary, but Kurt Sorge is the only 3-time Rampage champion. The event's over. Who surprised you out there?
Yeah, it was really cool. Everyone rode great, had super cool lines, and it was gnarly. So props to all the riders and diggers for putting in such sick lines.
And your first run, I think you were coming in at 9th. I don't actually remember what you were. But going in, why the choice not taking a second run?
I had a big crash right at the end of practice this morning and didn't even think I was going to be able to ride. But, yeah, I just got taped up and just powered through. And, just had to go send one and get redemption on that drop.
I mean, I've been crushing it. And the one dude whose style, line, and composure was all on point and I was super excited to talk to was Brandon Semenuk. And I totally blow it. Tough day today, not what you expected, but if you land your line, you had what it took. I mean, we saw you yesterday, and your line was good. How do you feel now?
Yeah, obviously not the best day for me. Yeah, just tough go. Hopefully, I don't even know. Obviously, I screwed up on that. Everything else felt good, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
And it seemed like you haven't been competing in as many slope-style contests, like the Crankworks. I don't think you were there, and that's like your home base. And focusing on stuff like that, does that make it a bigger bummer because of that?
I guess so. I mean, give yourself one chance to do well at a contest, and obviously, I'm kind of here to send it. I'm not here to just cruise down the hill, so yeah. But it is what it is. It doesn't change my decisions or anything like that. I'm just here to try and on my day, though.
Athlete-wise, I'm saving best trick for last, and that's Thomas Van Steenbergen, who took best trick.
Looking at that feature that you backflipped, people barely hit that feature. And when you look at that, I mean, is that something you decide early on in the week, like, I'm going to backflip that? Or is it something you get to the top of your line today, you feel confident, you're like, I'm fucking doing it?
Yeah, I decided it super early on. I wanted to do a big flip or a big 360 off a drop. And after building that drop and spinning the drop at the top, I definitely knew I couldn't 3 it. So I wanted to flip it, and it worked out.
And when you look at this venue now after a year in it, when I say a year, you're 10 minutes out of an event, but do you see potential for bigger and better next year?
I mean, I don't know how much bigger I can go, but yeah, I can improve on the rest of my run, just not on that feature, I don't think.
No Rampage broadcast is complete without Sal Masekela. And as I crept up on Sal, he was watching a video of himself.
So I'm here with Sal Masekela. He's just watching himself on his phone.
That's all time. I literally got a call for a job where they needed me to put together a reel. So whilst I was here doing the contest, I was having someone cut a reel for this CBS network show. So this is the first time that I literally, when you walked up, is the first time I get to see if it cuts the mustard, so to speak.
You don't normally just walk around and watch videos of yourself?
No. Okay. I mean,
I don't either.
Self-elation is good if it's a skill set that you have, but no, I don't.
Cool, man. So you do a ton of events, and you've done shit all over the world. This one's, I think, different than a lot of things that you do. The engine is awesome for the sound. And
yeah,
what are your thoughts on this event every year?
It's one of my favorite things to come to. This is the 5th time that I've gotten to come to Rampage, and the stakes at an event like this are so high. Like, when you see guys being happy with their first runs to the point where I'm not going to do that again, that just tells you, like, okay, you're working at a completely other level of high-end focus and the ability to tap in to a flow state when your life is literally on the line. There's only limited opportunities for what that looks like, and in a sport like this that continues, progression means even more heightened sense of like awareness of what's on the line. And the manner in which these guys are able to tap in, find that deep flow is fascinating. I saw things today that like I can't wait to go back and watch again and just understand how they happened. To see Brett Reeder make the choice right from the second he gets here to be like, you know what? It's a new course. I'm not taking the scraps. I get an opportunity at an even playing field. Let me find the hardest shit that I can do.
Yeah.
And this isn't even like technically on paper supposed to be my shit, but knowing what his abilities are, his relationship with a bike, what he's been able to build in the last 6-7 years with this element of riding and then showcase that natural ability in this setting, I feel like I witnessed a next level moment in this sport, and I just feel lucky to be able to be a part of it.
Yeah, so you're a part of a lot of events. This is one that you must see live. Anything else you have to see live that compares?
What else do I have to? I mean, shit, dude.
There's a lot of shit, yeah.
I've seen a lot of great shit. I mean, I've been to Erzberg, to the rodeo. I've been to Romaniacs. I've been to Waimea Bay, Pipeline, and I've gotten to cover some pretty incredible shit. I'm trying to think, like, what do I want to see live that I haven't gotten to see yet?
Or for someone who's listening, and I think this is one of those courses you have to be here to see how big it is. On the internet, it doesn't look as big.
To come here and to see it live, if it makes you queasy watching it on TV, coming here and watching it live, it will make you ask questions about yourself as to what you're capable of. It'll make you think about the stuff that you say, like, oh, I can't do. Like, a small part of you knows you can do something, but you let fear override, right?
Yep.
Which we all do in life. Coming and witnessing this event makes you, like, walk away to be like, okay, how can I step my overall life game up and get out of my own way? Because that's what you have to do to excel on a playing field like this in this sport. Like, you have to be willing to get out of your own way.
So that was time at Red Bull Rampage. Thanks to Red Bull for giving us passes and creating a flawless event. This one was not easy. Lots of moving parts. I also want to thank everyone I chatted with, all the riders who risked life and limb for themselves and for our entertainment. So this is a totally different podcast for me. It breaks the mold of everything that I've done, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. At this point, I'm driving in an RV. I've got 15 more hours left before I get to Seattle, And I hope to get the podcast edited and put online tomorrow night. So we will get back to doing that and done with recording an outro. What I do want to ask everyone to do is review me on whatever platform you listen to me on. If you're on an iPhone, here's what you need to do. Go into Apple Podcasts or iTunes, search for The Powell Movement, scroll down. When you see the stars, hit 5 stars and you're done. If you want to leave a review, that goes above and beyond the Call of Duty, but I'd appreciate that as well. If not a big deal. I also need to thank my sponsors who really make this show happen. They are Evo, Rescue Water, the 10 Barrel Brewery, Spy Optic, and Outdoor Research. Please support them as they make this show happen. Have a great week, everyone.